At 9:21 a.m., everything changed. One text message, just 9 words long, shifted the entire case timeline. Without it, a killer might still be free. This is the story of how a single minute cracked a murder investigation wide open. The morning. March 3rd began like any other in the quiet suburbs of Riverbend, a town where violent crime was almost unheard of. The victim, Emily Carter, was 32 years old. She worked as a project coordinator for a local architecture firm. Her friends described her as organized, reliable, and always early to work. That morning, she left her home around 9 o'clock, carrying her usual travel mug of coffee and a small tote bag. She texted her manager a cheerful message, "Running on time, see you soon." It would be the last ordinary message she ever sent. When Emily didn't show up for the 9:30 team meeting, her colleagues were immediately concerned. She was the kind of person who arrived 10 minutes early, not late. By noon, her phone went straight to voicemail. By evening, her family filed a missing persons report. Something had gone terribly wrong. The first leads. The initial investigation was frustrating. Emily's car wasn't at her office. Her home showed no signs of forced entry. Her last confirmed sighting came from a neighbor who saw her backing out of her driveway just after 9 o'clock. At 9:12 a.m., a security camera at a gas station caught her vehicle driving past. She appeared alone. And then, silence. No sightings, no activity, no digital traces. Her bank cards were never used again. Detectives began to reconstruct her morning minute by minute. That's when they noticed the anomaly. At exactly 9:21 a.m., a text was sent from Emily's phone to her friend Claire. It read, "Running late, traffic's bad." At first glance, it seemed ordinary. But Claire knew something was wrong. Emily never complained about traffic, she took pride in her punctuality. And the phrasing, short, vague, unlike her usual tone. Still, without more context, the police logged it and moved on. Days passed. Then weeks. And the trail went cold. It was only when analysts revisited her phone records that they realized this text was far more than a casual message. It was the missing puzzle piece. The 9-minute window. Investigators now focused on the period between 9:12 and 9:30 a.m. Just 18 minutes. But within that narrow gap, Emily had vanished. The 9:21 message was the center of it all. Where exactly was her phone when it sent the text? Cell tower data revealed something shocking. The message did not come from the highway where Emily would normally be. Instead, her phone pinged from a tower 3 blocks away, near an abandoned warehouse. This discovery reframed the case. It meant Emily never continued toward work after the gas station. She was intercepted. The message had likely been sent by someone else to create a false trail. But who would stage such a text? And why? Cracks in the alibi. Detectives turned their attention to Emily's estranged partner, Daniel Hayes, with whom she had ended a long relationship months earlier. Friends described him as controlling and increasingly erratic. When questioned, Daniel claimed he was at home working remotely during the morning of March 3rd. He insisted he had not seen Emily in weeks. His internet router logs seemed to back him up. But something felt off. Police subpoenaed his car's GPS records. And there it was. At 9:14 a.m., his vehicle had stopped near the same warehouse district where Emily's phone later pinged. The distance between that stop and the cell tower was less than 400 meters. The timeline now painted a very different picture. At 9:12 a.m., Emily's car was last seen. At 9:14 a.m., Daniel's car arrived near the warehouse. At 9:21 a.m., Emily's phone sent the strange text. By 9:30 a.m., her phone went dark. The 9-minute window had become the foundation of a murder case. The forensic thread. But evidence is only as strong as it is verifiable. prosecutors needed more than suspicious timing. Inside Daniel's vehicle, investigators discovered fibers that matched Emily's coat. A microscopic hair fragment recovered from his back seat was tested. DNA confirmed it belonged to Emily. Digital forensics added another blow. Analysts examined the text message itself. The typing cadence, the number of milliseconds between keystrokes, didn't match Emily's previous texts. Instead, the pattern was consistent with someone unfamiliar with her phone. In simple terms, the text at 9:21 was almost certainly not sent by Emily. It was a clumsy attempt to buy Daniel time. This combination of physical and digital breadcrumbs created a seamless timeline, minute by minute, of how the abduction unfolded. The trial. The trial began a year later. Prosecutors built their case around the reconstructed timeline. They argued that Daniel intercepted Emily as she drove past the warehouse, forced her into his vehicle, and staged the misleading text. Jurors were walked through the digital trail. A large courtroom screen displayed the synchronized map: Emily's car at 9:12. Daniel's car at 9:14. The 9:21 text. And then, nothing. The defense attempted to undermine the reliability of cell tower data. They argued it could not pinpoint exact location. But the combination of GPS logs, DNA evidence, and the texting analysis proved too strong. After 3 weeks of testimony, the jury returned a verdict: guilty of first-degree murder. Daniel Hayes was sentenced to life in prison without parole. When asked later what had most influenced their decision, jurors cited one piece above all: the 9-minute timeline. Aftermath and reflection. Emily's family described the verdict as bittersweet. No sentence could return their daughter. But knowing the truth of what happened, and that justice was served, brought a measure of peace. The case is now studied in training seminars for investigators. It demonstrates how tiny fragments of time, mere minutes, can contain the entire story of a crime. For the detectives, it was a reminder that even in a mountain of evidence, the key to solving a case often lies in the smallest detail. In this case, one text message sent at 9:21 a.m. And that, in the end, was the minute that exposed a killer. Closing. All case details in this video were verified against official filings and reputable reporting. Sources are linked in the description. If you found this breakdown meaningful, subscribe to Silent Veil for verified case reconstructions every Tuesday and Friday. We lift the veil on hidden stories, always with respect, always with truth.